Welcome back. When we build real world applications, one type of data that comes up all the time is dates and times. So let's learn the fundamentals of dates and times. Now, dates and time can be a little bit messy and confusing in JavaScript. And so just like with numbers, I will try to make the fundamentals here as clear as possible. So first we need to actually create a date. So let's write here, create a date. Actually here in JavaScript, we have 4 different ways of creating date. I mean, they all use the new date constructor function, but they can accept different parameters. So let's see now. So here the first one is the simply we can use the new date constructor like this new date constructor. And for this we can assign a new variable. Right here const I'm giving here now that is it. And then I'm logging this to console.log now. So we get the current date and the time for this at this very moment. Now let's reload and check the result. Here we see that the date, time and the day, and this is the time and this is Indian Standard Time. So this is the first method, and the next one, that is the second way, is to parse the date from a date string. Now let's see an example for the second way. Write console.log and then here just give the new date and then let's give a string. So here in this example, this string here would work just fine. So for example, this part here, let's copy this one and then paste here. We are simply giving a string that is in JavaScript. So it will then automatically parse the time based on that. Let's reload. See the result. This result is the same. Now let's try to something different. Right? New date. And then here let's pass the string. For example, I am giving the December 31st, 2025. Now let's see the result. We have another result that is Wednesday, December 31st, 2025. Here in this, we even get the day of the week also. So however, in JavaScript, we cannot do like this because it can be quite unreliable. However, the string was actually created by JavaScript itself. Then of course, it is pretty safe. So actually in our accounts object or in our account one, that is here, let's type account one. So for example, we see that here we have all these details. So here you see that these movements dates. Let's try for this one. So let's create a new date, console.log, new date. And so here let's write account one dot movements dates. And we need the 0. Now let's reload. See here that was created on November 2019. So let's see once again that account one, this one here movement states. And so here this is the November 2019 and here this Z represents the UTC, that means that coordinated universal time. So that means that which is basically the time without any time zone in UK. So that is based on a string, but we can also pass in year, month, day, hour, minute. Hence even seconds into this constructor. Now let's write here console.log new date. Now I'm giving here a date 2040 and also for suppose I am giving that 10 19 23 then 5. Now let's see the result. See here we see that Monday November 19 2040 and 15 hours 23 minutes 5 seconds. So here see that what we have given here, that is month, date, year, time. And here you observe that this is the 10. So here basically this is an October, but November means that is the 11th month. So here it changed that JavaScript is actually 0 based. That's why we get November. And so now here I will show you another thing, that is here. Let's remove all this. And here see that 2040 and in JavaScript this is November, and for suppose I am giving that the day 32 like this because November has only 30 days, but we have given here 32. Let's see the result. So here see the JavaScript automatically auto correct this one. So after completing the November month, it goes to December. So here we have moved 2 days, so that's why it is placed as December 2. And so for suppose I am giving that 37 like that, let's reload. See here it is showing as December 7th and Friday. So this autocorrect in JavaScript is sometimes useful for us. And now finally, we can also pass into the date constructor function. That is the amount of milliseconds passed since the beginning of the Unix time, which is January 1st, 1970, something else. So let's see that. Let's write again new date. And so here I'm passing 0 milliseconds. So 0 milliseconds after that initial Unix time. Now let's see the reload. See here we have the January 1st, that is 1970. So this is like looking like an useful one, even though it looked like a bit strange. Let's now create a new one, that is which is 3 days after this date. So let's write here new date. And so here 3 times of 24 hours, and so which is made out of 60 minutes and also 60 seconds and 1000 milliseconds. So with this, now this is how we convert from days to milliseconds. So this is the days, that is 3 days, 24 hours in a day, and then the 60 number of minutes in 1 hour, then times 60 seconds in 1 minute, and then the milliseconds 1000 to convert to 2 milliseconds. So with this now we get the result, that is January 4th. That is exactly 3 days after this date. Now these dates that we just created here are in fact just another special type of object. And so therefore they have their own methods, just like arrays or maps or strings. And so we can use these methods to get or to set components of a date. So let's see here, that is next one, working with dates. Let's now actually create a date again. That is here I'm giving the variable, that is I'm calling this one as future. And so now let's give a new date. So in this new date I'm passing all these same as this one. So now let's log this into console. Let's see the result. Now just comment out all these ones because we need this last one only. And so now we already know how it works, and we just want to work here with this in particular date. So let's write here, use some future, which remembers is simply this object here. And then the method dot get full year. Now let's reload. So here we get the year. Now let's write for month. Remember that get full year, get month. Now let's see the result. And so remember that this month is the 0 based. So that is basically 10 means we have November. And now let's take a look for date, get date. Now let's see the result. That is 19. So now let's try for day. Now let's see the result. So here we get 1. So actually this is not the day of the month, but the day of the week. And 0 here is Sunday, and 1 is for Monday, and 2 is for Tuesday, like that. 4 is for Thursday, and then besides this we also have 3 more. So that is here hour, minute and second. Let's try those. Get hours, get minutes, get seconds. Now let's see the result. So we get all these 15 hours, 23 minutes, 5 seconds. So with this, sometimes these can be pretty useful to work with the dates. Besides that, we can also get a nicely formatted string, that is, let's see here, console.log show. So basically similar to what we have here up to ISO string. So that is, let's write here dot to ISO string. Let's see here result. So here basically this is the ISO string, which follows some kind of international standard, and maybe you notice that this is actually similar to the string that we used before coming from the account one. So let's see here account one, and so now moments, and also see here exactly these were generated by this method, and that's one of the very useful cases in when you want to convert a particular date object into a string that you can then store somewhere. So finally, we can also get the timestamp for the date. Let's do that. Console.log future. And remember that the timestamp is the milliseconds. So let's write dot, and which we have passed in January 1, 1970. So get the time. Let's write here get time. And we see that, let's see below. We see that here this is a huge amount that we passed that since that data, and now we can take this number and reverse this. So if we wanted, we would now create a new date. So let's try that. Console.log new date, and now then give this number. Now let's reload. It will then give us exactly the same time. You will see that it is exactly the same as this one. So that is simply the based on the milliseconds that we have passed in since January 1st, 1970. And timestamps are actually so important that there is a special method that we can use to get the timestamp for right now. And so if we want to simply the current timestamp for this exact moment, so let's write that we don't even need to create a new data. All we have to need to is to call date dot now. So for that, let's write date dot now. So let's see the result. Now we see that it gives us this timestamp. So finally, there are also the set versions of all these methods. So let me just show you that one for the year. I'm not going to through all of them. So let's type here future dot set full year. And so here I am passing the 2040. Let's log this to console future. For suppose give 2050. Reload. So now see that the day of the month is changed. And so we have here, there also exists set month, set date also. So this get day, that is set day and so on and forth. So there, these also perform auto correction when we create a new date. So that is basically all the methods that you need to know about dates and these last here. So, and these are all quite intuitive, and all you need to know really is there are all these different ways of creating dates. So this is all about the video. In the next video, we will then sum up what is doing here to add dates to the Bankos application and make our project even better. So see you in the next lecture. Thank you.